Ethan sits at his desk, staring at a textbook that might as well be written in an alien language. He has a massive exam tomorrow, but when he tries to read a paragraph, his brain simply refuses to process the words. He is locked in a state of complete cognitive paralysis. Making matters worse, the echo of his classmates laughing at his previous test scores is playing on a loop in his head. That social pressure acts like an accelerant, driving his anxiety higher with every passing minute. He is caught in a vicious biological feedback loop. High stress floods the brain with cortisol, which impairs the prefrontal cortex, the exact region required for complex learning. Trying to forcefully cram information into a highly agitated mind only increases the friction. When Ethan locks up like this, his intelligence hasn't suddenly dropped. His nervous system is simply in the wrong baseline state to initiate deep work. Looking for a way out of this trap, Ethan visits his philosophy teacher, Mr. Harris. He is a man who operates in a perpetually calm, quiet environment, offering a completely different mechanical approach to the problem. The muddy water metaphor illustrates this perfectly. Shake a container and the liquid becomes opaque. You cannot forcefully push the dirt down. You must let gravity work. Slowly, the particles settle. Mapped to Ethan's mind, slow breathing naturally allows erratic stress signals to harmonize. Mental clarity cannot be extracted through sheer willpower. Deliberate stillness is a biological prerequisite for processing complex information. Once the mind is settled, it has to be actively directed. Mr. Harris introduces a lit candle to demonstrate the next step. A flame serves a specific psychological function. It is a single, continuously moving variable. By locking your attention onto its subtle shifts, you train your brain to actively reject anxiety about past failures and fear of future deadlines. Ethan practices locking his eyes on the flame. By tying his sensory input to this one specific object, he starves the surrounding mental noise of the oxygen it needs to survive. His entire world shrinks to the immediate environment. Sustaining focus requires you to fiercely anchor your attention to the present moment. With a clear and present mind, we still have to address how the brain actually interacts with new data. To explain this, we look at the mechanical difference between a rock and a sponge. The rock approach is rote memorization. Incoming data nodes strike a rigid surface and bounce off, failing to penetrate. Conversely, the sponge approach represents deep comprehension. The mind becomes porous, absorbing and linking new concepts directly into existing mental models. True learning requires cognitive integration. You have to weave new ideas into the framework you already possess, rather than relying on the rigid repetition of isolated facts. Even with the right learning technique, the sheer size of a project can cause a relapse. Ethan's educational goals loom over him like a massive, immovable block of stone. When the brain perceives a task as a single, insurmountable entity, the amygdala flags it as a threat. That threat response instantly triggers the avoidance behaviors we commonly call procrastination. The mechanical solution is to fracture that massive object. By breaking the overarching project down into tiny, highly manageable subtasks, you entirely bypass the brain's threat detection system. You generate forward momentum by reducing the scale of the immediate task in front of you. Zooming out from immediate execution, we have to look at the timeline of long-term habit formation. Mr. Harris points to two separate plant pots to illustrate the final variable, consistency. The first pot contains a stunted, unhealthy plant. It is the direct result of sporadic care, receiving intense, massive floods of water, followed by weeks of absolute neglect. This chart shows the mathematical reality of these two approaches plotted over time. The flatline trajectory represents those isolated bursts of effort. But look at the compounding exponential curve. That aggressive biological growth is the direct result of micro-consistency, tiny daily inputs applied without fail. Lasting mastery is the byproduct of compounding daily rhythms. Back in his room, Ethan sits at his desk again. The external pressures haven't changed, but the mocking echoes are gone. His internal state is quiet, confident, and relaxed. He applies the complete strategy. He breathes to let stress settle. He anchors attention to the present. He reads to understand, not memorize. He breaks his massive study guide into single paragraphs and commits to this every day. Try applying the muddy water technique to your own most overwhelming task today. Let the dirt settle and see what the clarity reveals. Till then, stay patient, stay grateful, and keep moving forward in life. Reclaiming your mental clarity is the ultimate prerequisite for all future progress.